When emotions become emergencies, you parent like an emergency responder. You rush, you react, you control, you lecture, and connection disappears. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andee Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast. It's a big day over here. It is the week before Christmas, and it has stopped snowing. We have cleaned our yard. We have celebrated a birthday. We're getting ready for a little family Christmas vacation because we've outgrown our 830 square foot cabin. It is my favorite little place in the whole wide world. And when the kids were little, because we've owned it for over 10 years, but we haven't lived here full time until the last few years. And when the kids were little, we'd come up and it was so perfect. The size was perfect. I loved everything about it. But now my oldest is married. All of my kids are basically adults. My youngest is 17. She'll be 18 in June, which is so crazy. And we can't fit. So we decided something different. Way back earlier this year, booked this cruise. I cannot wait, but it's getting a little frantic. We drew names, so everybody's trying to get the one present that everyone's going to get and then somehow pack it in their suitcase. It's so fun and so crazy. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is because it has me feeling everything. Excitement, gratitude, joy, also this ache, because I'm watching my kids grow up in real time. Becca, my youngest, just had a dance concert. It's her second to last one of her high school year or career, I should say, high school experience. And my brain cannot compute. It's crazy. My youngest is basically halfway through her senior year of high school. It's just going so fast, and I'm trying to appreciate every second of it. I also had the most amazing shopping experience with Megan. She's my senior in college, which is crazy. And I'm trying to soak up every moment I get to have with her as well. We went to this cute little shop that she found on TikTok that had these custom scents. It was so fun. It was so fun. And then we ended up at this cookie shop called Ruby's. And you guys, it was delicious. We also just had the best time laughing at the names. They were so funny. It was like we were in a sitcom or something. There was Judy the Orange Avenger, and then there was one called Ellie and Zoe, and they were all delicious. The best cookies I've ever had in my life. It was one of those days when you're so happy and you're enjoying every moment, and you also can feel this tenderness in your heart, like, oh my gosh, this is going so fast. And I'm getting emotional as I'm thinking about all these moments I'm having with my kids and the Christmas that we're going to be able to celebrate with everybody. Everyone's going to be there. And I know that is not always going to be the case, because as my kids get older and they have other people involved in their lives, partners, spouses, like there's going to be other people that want them during these holiday seasons. So I'm really doing my best to appreciate what we get to experience this year. And it's a lot of emotions, and it's bringing me exactly to what I want to talk to you all about today, because when you love people and you're living your life and you're paying attention, emotions are going to hurt sometimes. And lately, almost every parent I work with is asking me some version of this same question, like, this hurts. What am I supposed to do with this? And I get it, because emotions hurt sometimes. So today I want to talk about what it means when emotions hurt and what actually helps and why we want them to hurt sometimes. First, I want to make sure we're speaking the same language. When I say emotion, I'm talking about something very specific, a vibration in your body. That's what an emotion is. There's a difference between an emotion and a feeling. So an emotion is the default response we have when our brains put a meaning around something. So if I look at the weather, we'll keep it super neutral right now. If I look at the weather and my thought is, I'm so happy it's raining, then I'm going to have the emotion inside of my body of happiness or gratitude or excitement. And growing up in Phoenix, that's how I felt. Anytime it rained, it was instant joy. And so I had this emotion in my body. But if I grew up in a place where it rained a lot, like Oregon or Washington, and I didn't experience rain only occasionally, but for 6 months straight, I might feel something different because my thought about the rain might be, oh, here goes 6 months of rain, so cold, so uncomfortable. And then I might feel dread or frustration, something like that. Now, there's also a distinction between an emotion and a feeling that I want to make. Dr. Neufeld taught me this more clear than anyone else when he said the emotion is that initial reaction we have to something because of the interpretation we have of it. It's a thought. It's because of an experience we've had in the past. For some reason, I have an experience around, we'll use the weather one still, rain, that still gets me excited because of the way I think, feel, have experienced rain in the past. But for me to feel that emotion, I have to consciously allow my body to experience it. And I use the word conscious, and I do like that word, but I also want to say it doesn't mean that we're cognitively thinking, must feel emotion, but I'm feeling safe enough. I'm feeling comfortable enough. I'm in a place where I have the luxury to feel that emotion and I can experience it. It is more of the experiencing of it that is the feeling aspect of it, and the emotion is the chemical reaction to the thought or to the experience that I've had in the past around rain. Then there's also sensation. So I'll just clarify what that is as well, because sometimes we get confused between what a sensation is. A sensation is something that is going to originate in the body and travel to your brain, like hunger, hot, cold, headache, something like that. And so the emotion originates in your brain from, like I said, a thought, and then we feel it consciously. And this vibration can feel pleasant or it can feel uncomfortable. But here's one of the most important truths I teach. Half of your emotions are going to feel amazing, and about half of them are going to feel terrible. And parents hear that and think, no, thank you. And I would say humans hear that and think, no, I want to feel the positive ones. I want to get myself to the place where I only feel positive. And my response to that is I get it. And the faster you stop arguing with reality, the faster you stop fighting against the negative emotions, the less negativity you will feel around those emotions that you've previously classified as negative, the more free you'll become. So when an emotion hurts, the question we ask ourselves is, what should I do to make this stop? And that, I believe, is a misunderstanding, because we assume that the goal of a negative emotion is to eliminate it, to shut it down, to fix it. And I want to suggest the opposite. When emotions hurt, the goal is not to retract from them, not to push them down, not to avoid them. I believe the goal is to move through them, to let them vibrate, to let them complete, to feel the emotion. So the emotion comes up, and then can I feel it? Can I feel the pain or the disappointment or the joy? Because emotions that are allowed get processed. Emotions that are resisted, they get complicated. They cause problems. I would say most suffering in parenting is not caused by the emotion itself. It's caused by our thoughts about the emotion. We have pain, and then we have pain about the pain. We judge ourselves. We tell ourselves we shouldn't feel this way. That second layer is where suffering multiplies. So when a parent says, this hurts, what do I do? My first answer is, let it hurt. When we don't want to feel something, we usually do one of two things. We avoid feelings. We avoid the process of experiencing that emotion, or we try to control the world in a way to change that emotion that we're feeling in our body. So we avoid with scrolling, snacking, busy work, overworking, planning, cleaning, numbing, shopping, people pleasing. I do a lot of organizing when I'm trying to avoid emotions. We try to control with perfectionism, explaining, lecturing, trying to get others to understand us. Most problems aren't emotional problems. They're feeling problems. Here's a real life example from last week. I walked up to my girls' room. Their room was a disaster. And I said, hey, we need to get these rooms cleaned up. Let's do it on Sunday. I didn't think they heard me, so I said it again. Are you guys good with cleaning them on Sunday? Nobody said anything. Guys, we're going to clean the rooms up on Sunday. And they said, yeah, I agree. And I could feel it in my body. I wanted to say it again. Are you sure you agree? Are you going to for sure do it? Will you commit to me? Not because I didn't understand, but because I wanted a different reaction. I wanted enthusiasm. I wanted them jumping up and down saying, yes, Mom, best idea ever. Totally. We get it. And then I caught myself. Oh, this isn't about the room. This is about what I'm feeling in my body right now. This is an old belief that people don't really hear me. And the way I tried to fix that in the past was by saying things over and over and over and over again. Sometimes that came out as lecturing. And when I would lecture or I would just repeat myself, it was an attempt to regulate myself by getting someone else to do something. So I stopped myself in that moment. I said, oh gosh, here we are. I see this part. I'm very familiar with this part of me. And I notice it faster and faster these days. And I stopped and I said to this part, hey, perfectionistic Patty, it's okay. Grown-up Andee is here. We're good. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to work this out. And that moment right there, that's the work of letting an emotion come up. This fear in this case of me not being heard, of people not respecting me or listening to me, and feeling the emotions and not letting myself go into the hurt and the pain and the feeling of almost rejection is what really comes up in those moments for me. And instead interrupting it, feeling the emotion, saying, hey, it's okay. I felt it. I could talk to that part of myself. Perfectionistic Patty is what I call her, and allow myself to come back to me. That's an example of processing an emotion that feels painful. And I want to emphasize this part. We all want to feel all of our emotions, all of them, the positive and the negative, all of them. Emotions aren't the enemy that we may have thought they were. Avoidance is, it really is. Not allowing ourselves to feel our emotions, that is what's going to cause us so many problems. There are moments in parenting where you should feel something hard. And there are moments in parenting where our kids need to experience challenging emotions. The disappointment of not being invited to the friend's party, the devastation of getting a terrible grade. If your child's hurting, if your child's excluded, if your child fails, if your child makes a risky choice, if you didn't feel worry or sadness or anger in those moments, something would be off. Those emotions mean you care. What I want parents to stop doing is treating negative emotions like emergencies. Stop treating them like proof something's wrong. Because when emotions become emergencies, you parent like an emergency responder. You rush, you react, you control, you lecture, and connection disappears. So if you want to up-level your parenting, you have this big goal to be a more kind, compassionate, connected parent. That's a big goal. When we have really big goals, we're going to have enormously big emotions around those times in our life when we're really pushing ourselves. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Good news is that whether we're pushing ourselves with our parenting or in some other area of our life, how we do anything is how we do everything. So if I increase my capacity to regulate my nervous system around, let's say, running a marathon or some big thing at work or cooking for a big group of people and it's really scary for me, whatever it is for you, speaking in public, if I get better at that, my life in general is going to get better because how I do anything is how I do everything. So if I can regulate my nervous system around that, I'm going to have an easier time translating that into parenting. When you set big goals, you're going to have big emotions. Let me give you an example outside of parenting. When I published my book a few years ago, I was so stinking proud of myself and I was absolutely, utterly terrified. I used a company in the UK to help me publish it, and the deadlines would be in the middle of the night because they would tell me, hey, you got to get that to us by 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning, which would be Monday night, really, before I went to bed. I'd have to do it. So I remember when I turned in the final transcript to them, and this was the time where I wasn't going to be able to make any more changes after this. I could not sleep that night. I turned it in at midnight my time because I think that was 8 a.m. their time, and I woke up all night long. I actually went back and emailed them a few times in the middle of the night and changed a few things and said, oh my gosh, we got to take this part out. We got to take this part out. I was a mess. My nervous system was a wreck. Then when we finally published it, when it was released at 8 a.m. in UK, which was basically the middle of the night for me. My brain acted like I was going to die and I didn't sleep hardly at all that night. But I kept telling myself, I can do this. I did it anyway. I didn't die. But that big goal, crossing the finish line of that big goal, meant huge emotion. But how we do anything is how we do everything. So if we can challenge ourselves in other areas of our life, maybe you give that public speech, maybe you ask your boss for a raise, you take on a big assignment at work and it pushes you to your limits and you feel really big emotions, know that the increased capacity you feel around your emotions, around your capacity to do something is going to translate into your parenting. Big emotions come with big goals. And if you want a big life with no discomfort, you will shrink your life to the size of your fear. We don't want to do that. We don't want to shrink our life to the size of our fear just because we don't want to have any discomfort. We want to have discomfort. Discomfort is the currency to success. We want that in our own life. We want that for our kids too. And it's so hard. But when we understand how this whole thing works, it makes it a little bit easier. So let me tell you about something that happened a little over a year ago. If you've been listening to the podcast, you may have heard me tell this story before. I have a whole episode, I think, called the something about the train station. I can't remember what I called it, but it was last year, 2024. We were in Berlin. Becca, my youngest, was 16 at the time. We were changing trains at this huge station, multiple levels, very busy. Our phones didn't work. We didn't speak the language, and my nervous system was completely on edge, totally activated, high alert, fight or flight. I could feel it. I had the awareness I was nervous and anxious. I was being with myself the best I could. And my youngest walked off briefly on her own, I think to get food or go to the bathroom. I can't even remember at this moment. And I felt so unsafe. I had a complete nervous system takeover, tight chest, heat, buzzing, shaking. My brain went straight to catastrophe. I thought about that movie with Liam Neeson, I think it is, called Taken, where they have some abduction in Europe, and completely illogical, but it didn't matter. My brain was very nervous. And I got upset at myself and upset at my daughter because I was so scared. And I thought she had heard me ask her not to go anywhere alone, but she went alone. And I thought, she's doing this on purpose. And then I thought, no, she's not doing this on purpose. What's wrong with me? I was just swimming in an emotional takeover. So much discomfort. I was so nervous. I had awareness pretty quickly that my reaction was bigger than the situation deemed necessary, out of proportion. But my body was already activated. And this is important. I want you to know this. Just because you know you're overreacting doesn't mean your nervous system calms down instantly. There can be a delay. There's often a delay, especially in new situations like this one. For me in this situation, it took me an hour. So this emotion of fear, it hurt so bad to think something might happen to her. And then I got upset. And then I got judgmental. I was aware of this whole pattern, this whole little cycle my brain was going on. Nothing went wrong. She came back within just a few minutes. But I was so fearful, and so many reasons why I was feeling so many emotions at this moment. But I knew better, but I couldn't do better. So we got on the train, and I gave myself some space. I took some deep breaths. I listened to some music. I looked out the window at the beautiful scenery. I let my body feel without believing the story. And slowly I came back to baseline. We were on a train with these compartments. It must have been a sleeper train at some point, but we weren't going long distance enough to have that. I think we're on the train for 3 hours, but we were in these little booths, and the one behind us was empty. So I was able to go to the booth behind us for a period of time and shut the door and be completely by myself. It was very quiet, and let myself just breathe until I came back to baseline. And then I came to Becca and I said, oh, that wasn't my most emotionally mature response. I am so sorry. And I don't blame you for that. I take ownership for that. We do need to set some clear boundaries as we're traveling. But just so you know, I love you. I'm so sorry. And it was a real win. It really was. We were able to give each other a big hug. And I let those emotions move through me without letting it drive me, which was so fantastic. And only possible because of all the work I had done before to take such ownership of that. See, when she left and I got all emotionally triggered, I would say within a minute, I realized what was happening, but I wasn't able to stop the train because I was so nervous and so many illogical fears and little trauma stuff came up. And so I had the awareness and I was able to say to her, I am so activated right now. I'm so sorry. And I need some time. I wasn't able to really do anything other than just at least own my big emotions. And that only happened because of all the other times that I had practiced it in other parenting moments, which is what we have to do here in this parenting world. Parenting is full of new situations, new risks, new fears. Our kids get older, they engage in something new. And just because we're triggered and we have an emotional takeover, we have a nervous system takeover, it doesn't mean that we're failing. It really doesn't. I believe it means that we're human. And when we stop outsourcing regulation to our kids and we take ownership for it, everything changes. They don't need to be behaving okay so we feel okay, because we become steady regardless. So what do we do when emotions hurt, when they trigger us, when they feel out of control, when they feel negative? We let them hurt. We let them be experienced. We let them in. We let them move. We notice them. We stop treating them like emergencies. There is no emotion that will harm you if you allow yourself to experience it, to feel it. Unfelt emotions fester, but felt emotions process through and create emotional maturity. Every time you let an emotion move through you, your capacity to feel that emotion grows. Your emotional maturity increases for you and your child. And the more you feel safe around negative emotions, the more you're going to allow your kids to feel those negative emotions and process through and grow emotionally as well. That's emotional strength. And your kids benefit from that, from you experiencing your emotions. They benefit from that more than anything you could ever say. So remember the power, you all, the power of feeling our emotions all the way through. Yes, emotions are going to hurt sometimes. They're supposed to. Life's 50-50. Welcome it in. Experience the humanness. I choose humanness over happiness any day. I feel like I'm more happy when I feel more human. And happy to me is experiencing the whole gamut. That's what being fully human is. Feel your emotions. Let them hurt. Let them move. I love you all so much. Have the most amazing week. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye, you all. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out my Connect Method Parenting Coaching Program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.